concerning an agreement with the city that will allow the chief of police to function effectively, commit to long-term efforts, surpass expectations, and assume professional leadership role. No action taken on the February 17, 2009 meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just as opening discussion on this, I'd like to make a point that if you strip the name out of this, what you're really talking about is an agreement with a chief of police. If John Zaidle were taken off the face of the earth this evening by aliens, you'd have a new chief of police. And the question I think this council needs to wrestle with is, do we want to put into place any type of security clause that would protect a chief of police in the event that there is a change of political power, if you will, that simply walks in one day and says, don't need that chief of police anymore. We'll bring our own in. So from my background and what I used to do in corporate life, I'd like to ask the council not to look at this specifically as a John Zaidle issue. This is a city issue and what we want to do with a position called chief of police going forward. Because I would hope that John Zaidle today is functioning effectively, he's committed to the long-term efforts, and he is assuming a professional leadership role. I think we would assume that any chief of police would be doing that. So the real question I think that's coming before the council is there some action that this council needs to wrestle with to allow him a feeling of security to put into place long-term goals and objectives for the good of not only the department, but for the good of the citizens of the city of Palmer. And if you'd like that summarized, I can do it in about 2 sentences.
No, I got it all. I actually have a question. I don't understand exactly what you're talking about. I know we got this documentation from the chief that he said that he would like. Of course, it overlooked. We overlooked it. And so what are you saying?
Well, I think what you're looking at, there's a difference in sitting and negotiating. Now back to John Zaidle. Difference in sitting and negotiating specific terms and the specific items of a contract with the chief of police regarding things such as working conditions, hours, pay, uniforms, education, and so forth. I'm not ready to go down that road. I don't think that's what we need to be discussing. I think if there is an issue of any chief of police today, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, saying, you know, I'd be committed to this city and I'd be willing to take a risk and do some other things, but in the next election, you get a new mayor, you get a council that doesn't like me for whatever reason, I'm gone. I've invested all of this time, and is there anything that's, you know, as a security blanket for me that would take care of me now that through no fault of mine, nothing that I did because I didn't do anything wrong, you just politically don't want me in there, I'm gone. I need to go find a new job to take care of me and my family while I look for that job. Is there anything the council wants to do to address that issue? I believe that's the question, but I choose not to look at this as a John Zaidle issue. I look at this as an issue of any chief of police going forward. Did that answer your question?
Comment. Should we actually omit 17 then?
Omit 17?
No.
Would it be your decision whether you take action or not?
I have a question. Is that legal to do, like what you're saying? Say the new council comes in, say a new...
I'm sorry?
What you were saying, say a new council comes in and decides that they don't want the chief of police right now. Can they do that? I mean...
Council just
Council
anything you
can-
want.
So, simple answer is yes.
You can
That's
just
why they
get
set
rid
up
of-
the fire at will.
This is an at-will state. regardless of whether or not you...
Even he didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
You haven't seen that?
In an at-will state, if you're running a cafe, you hire 5 employees, and you walk in one day and decide you want 3. You pick 2 and tell them to go away. They didn't do anything wrong. They weren't late, they weren't smoking on the job, chewing gum when you asked them not to. You just decided you want 3 instead of 5. 2 are gone. That's at will. Same thing can happen today to your chief of police.
Wow. I mean, he's like a leader or something, like the main dude. Whether it be him or anybody else.
And that's why a lot of, and these types of contracts, and again, I'm going back from my HR background, these are not unusual in corporate world. They are beginning to grow in the governmental sectors.